Hi, friends, and welcome back to another episode of This is for the Soul. I'm your lovely host, Brianna Sade. On this podcast, we talk about all things spirituality, mental health, personal development, girl talk, you name it. We're gonna talk about it. Let me start out by saying this: being the villain doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I said what I said. So, for today's episode, I want to talk about being in your villain era and what it really means, and how not to feel guilty for sticking to your values, your beliefs, and your boundaries. People often look at being the villain as the main character or that unapologetic bad bitch who doesn't take no shit. While that may be true for some, most of the times that's not really the case at all. Being in your villain era is really about becoming more whole. It's really about your journey to self and getting more comfortable with who you are while channeling that inner baddie in the most genuine, authentic, and grounded way. I am a retiring people pleaser. And I say retiring because, not gonna lie, I still have my moments where I've fallen into the trap of trying to please others, over explaining, over apologizing, and yes, being a yes man. I used to be the biggest over explainer ever. But you know what? The one thing that I had to learn is that people will respect me more if I just shut up sometimes. Silence in itself can be an answer. And if you already said what you said the first time, why must you feel the need to elaborate or over explain yourself just to get people to see where you're coming from clearly? Now, it's not easy to shift your identity overnight or do a whole 180, especially when you've been so used to seeking that validation, being the giver or the overextender, especially when you've always felt like you've had to, or you've had something to prove, or you have love to give because you felt like that love wasn't given to you. But on the flip side, you can take small steps every single day to get to that place of wholeness. As a kid, and even recently, being liked, holding on to those friendships and relationships for dear life, and just making sure that I wasn't on anyone's bad side was important to me. And why, I don't know. Maybe it's the Libra in me that just hates confrontation, because I don't like confrontation. And if I can avoid it, then that's what I'm doing, subconsciously and sometimes even consciously. But I've been learning how to face my issues head on rather than skate around them, because they're not going anywhere. If anything, they're probably just going to get worse. But the older I get, the more exhausting it does become to keep dimming my light and extending that olive branch over and over again when I know that I don't have to, and compromising my needs, my feelings, my wants for the sake of other people. The constant explaining, the constant over apologizing, and making myself feel small, it's not working anymore, and it won't continue as long as I no longer allow it. That unstable foundation, I fear, is beginning to tear down. And this is happening the more that I'm beginning to see myself clearly. Throughout my life, I've continuously come across certain people who try me, who test my patience, and it's because they know that I'm a nice person, or I may look sweet and innocent. So, yeah, that makes me an easy target. And it does take a lot to piss me off because I'm a lover, not a fighter. But when you continuously pick with me, and when I do stand up for myself or I do stand on business, it's often perceived negatively. So it's like, you poked the beast, now you're mad. And I don't know, do y'all get what I'm saying? Because, like, I don't like being aggressive with people. But aggressive Brianna, I've met her and she's no fun. I I just that's just not the type of person that I am. But something that we as a collective need to understand is that assertiveness and aggression are two different things. They're not the same. Especially as a woman, we're expected to be natural people pleasers, to shrink ourselves to make others. mainly men, comfortable. When we say no, or even just assert ourselves with a certain type of confidence, suddenly we're mean and we're aggressive or we're labeled as the villain. And don't let it be a black woman, because then we're seen as the angry black woman. And it gets to a point where it's like, I don't want to anymore. I don't want to fit this narrative. I don't want to act a certain way or dim my light because I feel like I'm making someone else uncomfortable. Like, what about me? What about my feelings? And sometimes waking up to that reality, it does catch folks off guard. But it's like, fuck them, because at the end of the day, it's your life, not theirs. And you should never, ever feel guilty for anyone's dissatisfaction, especially when it was never your job to please them in the first place. No is a complete sentence, and you're not selfish for saying it. It's okay to stand firm in your values, and it's okay to say no to something that you just genuinely don't want to do. And one thing that I've come to realize is the more comfortable you become with yourself, and the more others may become uncomfortable with you. And that's why they say, at the top, it get lonely. It's weird, I know, but some people just hate to see a confident person prioritizing themselves without guilt and shame coming. And the discomfort that those people or that person feels, they will project that energy onto you, and that's what makes you the villain in their story. Leveling up requires a certain type of mental fortitude that unfortunately everyone does not have. And it's not selfish, it's self-ish. And once you start to feel a tension in your relationships or a disconnect or even a pull, that is a sign and you should honor it. Some people who once served a purpose in your life, they are not meant to level up with you. And it's up to you to recognize that, understand it, and let them go. Because, yes, it is very possible for people to keep you stuck if you let them. And it doesn't matter who it is, it could be a friend, a family member, a partner, but sometimes it takes a lot of guts to release people who you've had history with. But if that's what you need to do to grow, then it can be hard. Letting go doesn't make you a bad person. It actually makes you a better one, especially if it's something that you've been needed to do. Here are three signs that you are entering into your villain era. Number one, you're tired of being a yes man. It may feel easy in the moment to say yes to everything, but don't you ever get tired of saying yes when you actually really mean no? You don't have to agree to everything, babe. You're not gonna miss out, and that person you said no to will not hate you forever. Promise. Saying no is actually saying yes to yourself. So start with thinking about what it is that you actually want, what it is that you align with, and say no to what doesn't align with you, and watch how good that will start to make you feel. Number two, you no longer tolerate gaslighting or microaggressions. People will have and form their opinions about you, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean you have to believe them or allow that to affect the way that you show up. If you feel something, speak on it. If you need something, ask. And if a space is feeling draining, you can remove yourself. Number three, you choose rest and luxury without guilt. If you're giving yourself time to be without guilt or not feeling the need to be productive, oh baby, you've won at life. You're no longer shaming rest or self care, and you're honoring your body. And that is being self-ish in the best way. And if you don't feel like you're in this space yet, or you haven't noticed any of those signs, that's okay too, because here's something that you can always remember or reflect on. The power of boundaries, it lives within your self-worth. If you really should ask yourself, like, how much respect do you have for yourself to tolerate the things that you do? And speak your truth without needing others to agree, because not everyone will agree with you. You will not be everybody's cup of tea. And again, that is okay. It's fine to hold space and compassion for others, but never, ever, ever forget who you are and where you came from. You have the ability to reclaim your narrative, to write your own story, and enter into this era without shame and fear, because you know that you are the you know that you are the SHIT what? Friends, that is the end of this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it and learned a thing or two about embracing the villain era without shame. And if this episode resonated with you, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, post, do whatever you need to do to keep up with the podcast, as well as keep up with moi on TikTok at Soul Sage and Tarot, and Substack as well, where I do drop a free weekly newsletter every Monday along with a new podcast episode. And as always, I love you guys and I appreciate you guys so, so much for rocking with me and coming back every week to listen. And until next time, I will chit chat with you next episode. Bye. Mwah.